welcome to today's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where we're going to address an omission. Really, we didn't attempt this puzzle, The Moons of Saturn by Chris Moore, when it first came out a month or so ago, and this has a 100% rating on Logic Masters Germany. It's an absolute, and the comments on it are incredible. And having read the rule set, I absolutely love the idea of this one. This is so cool with these different sized moons operating in the grid, and you can see from the thumbnail that this beautiful sort of Saturn with its rings sitting in the middle. It's just gorgeous. And yeah, well, I don't have much news to you today, other than I suppose the appeal. If you do like the channel, like the video, please do like the videos. Please do subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. But with all that said and done, let's just kick off, shall we, and have a go at this puzzle. The rules are incredibly succinct for given how much is going on. Right, the white region is divided into 12 5-cell cages, one each of the 12 pentominoes. So that you don't have to know what the individual pentominoes are called here, but there are pentominoes like that would be called, in fact I've done that an unhelpful way, that is a T pentomino. Now you can get other pentominoes like this is called a W pentomino, but we don't have to know the names. There are only 12 unique ways of joining 5 cells together using orthogonal connections to make shapes. Now, in saying there are only 12, I'm saying that those two shapes would be the same. So obviously this is just a slight rotation of this one. So rotations and reflections would always give the same shape. Other than that, there are 12 unique ways to organize 5 cells in a grid, and we have to place all 12 of them into the white cells here. So I presume there are 60 white cells. In fact, to work that out, it might be better to count the grey cells. Actually, you can see there we've got 12 plus 9 is 21 grey cells, and there's a 9 by 9 grid, so that's 81. So 81 minus 21 is indeed 60. 60 divided by 12 is 5, so that does suggest that each of the shapes we're building is a 5-cell size, which is a pentomino. So there we go. I can't disagree with the instructions, however cantankerous I might feel. Now, digits may not repeat in a cage. So when we build these pentominoes, let's say that was a pentomino. Well, obviously you couldn't repeat it, and that's another stupid example from me. Let's imagine that was a pentomino. Then you couldn't repeat a digit in this pentomino. So these two cells would have to be different from these three, which they might not otherwise have to be because of the rules of plain old Sudoku. Now, a large moon indicates a boundary between cages whose totals differ by 1 if the moon is white, and by a factor of 2 if the moon is black. So big moons, let's look at this moon here. So that's saying that there is one pentomino to the top side of it, one pentomino to the bottom side of it. These are different pentominoes, and the sum of the digits in this top pentomino will differ from the sum of the digits in the bottom pentomino by 1. Now on a black dot, or a big black moon, we're saying that the sum of the digits in one of the pentominoes would be half or double the sum of the digits in the pentomino on the other side of it. So it works a bit like Kropki, but with the regions, the whole region size rather than digits themselves. Now a small moon indicates that 2 cells belong to the same cage, and those cells differ by 1 if the moon is white, or by a ratio of 2 if it is black. So the small dots, or the small moons, do work like Kropki. They're looking at cell relationships, with the additional proviso that I think we're being told that those are in the same pentomino. Yes, they belong to the same cage. There may be undiscovered moons. Oh, that's beautiful. So what's that saying? That's saying, for example, these two squares could have a white dot between them. They don't, they could be consecutive digits. So just because there isn't a white dot, we mustn't assume that these are not consecutive. That would be incorrect. Do have a go. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. And now I get to play Let's Get Cracking. And I suspect our job here is going to be to tile this grid somehow first. So we know that cells on the other side of large moons are different pentominoes, I think. A boundary, yes. Okay, so these are in different shapes. So whatever this is going to be in the same region as this cell, because this cell has to reach a size of 5. This is in a different pentomino. Ooh, then it gets a bit gnarly down at the bottom, doesn't it? Maybe there's an easier place to spot some boundaries here. Let me try somewhere else. What about here? We've got loads of moons in close proximity. Yes, this is better. This is better because we know the small moon is, we know those two cells are in the same pentomino, but we know these, well, we know this is not blue. Now, do we know that this is not purple or not? So here we're being told that the, yes, we do know this is not purple actually, because we're being told that the difference between these, between blue and purple pentomino size is in a ratio of 1 to 2. So they are huge numbers. You know, the minimum you could put into a pentomino would be a 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is 15. So on one side of this black moon, we've got a pentomino that has a size of at least 15. So on the other side of it, you've got to have a pentomino that's got at least 30's worth of digits in it. Now, in terms of this, though, the big white moon, we're being told that the difference between this pentomino and this pentomino is only differing by 1. So given that the black dot has such a disparate value, it's 15 to 30 or something like that, that's clearly not a difference of 1. So this needs to not be purple, otherwise maths is broken. So we'll make that yellow. Yellow needs to acquire more value, so purple is just finished actually. That's the only way we can get 5 cells in purple. So yellow, oh, I was going to say yellow's finished, but it's not. Oh, no, yellow is finished, because yellow can't come here, because it would have to be in the same region as that, and it would be a hexomino, not a pentomino. So that's yellow, and we've got 2 pentominoes built. We've got a Z pentomino and a V pentomino. So we can't have any more Zs or Vs in the grid, if I understand the rules correctly. Now those two are in the same pentomino because of the white dot. Right, what's going on over here with all of this black dottage and white dottage? We've got... I'm sure we can do something here. These two are in the same pentomino. Let's just make that blue for a moment, because obviously this is not going to touch this pentomino. So this... So the only... Okay, that's quite interesting. The only way blue and red are in the same pentomino is if this joins them together, but that would create a Z pentomino, which we've already got. So blue and red are in different pentominoes. So what does that mean? We know that this is not blue. Does that mean this has to be red? Yes. If this wasn't red, what colour would it be? Let's just make it green for a moment. Well, it would clearly have to take all of those cells, because it can't be blue, and if we're saying it's not red, it would take those and it would be a Z. So that doesn't work. So this is red, which means this is red, which means that we've either got a U pentomino or a P pentomino at the top here. Ooh. Well, hang on, what's that now? I should have seen that immediately. That's got to be blue, doesn't it? Because it can't join up to this because of the black moon. So that's blue. So now if this is a, oh, this could be an F. So this is an F pentomino, or it's an X pentomino, and this pentomino is a P or a U. But that's quite interesting though, because this blue pentomino never comes out. It's got to fill the gaps left by the red pentomino. So actually we need to go to the line drawing tool and draw that in as a boundary, just so that we know approximately how. In fact, let's draw lines around our pentominoes now so we can feel better about ourselves. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. We have fully boomed the top of the grid, or at least as far as our logic takes us so far. So what do we do now? Now we shall. Well, now we've got a great big white space over here with no moons in it really, which is a bit daunting. I guess we've always got to be thinking in mod 5 terms, don't we? In terms of the areas we're leaving for pentominoes. Like that's an 8-cell region, so it must have another 2 cells in it. I'm not sure whether you can get 3 pentominoes starting up here. You might be able to, although I think that's probably impossible because you've only got 2 exits. No, maybe you could. You could do a P and then, yeah, no, I'm wrong. You could definitely have 3 pentominoes originating in this 8-cell region. So I feel like this is not where we look now. So perhaps we're meant to look at this stuff at the bottom here, maybe, or this stuff over here. We've got a 2 here, so that needs another 3 cells, doesn't it? Okay, so how on earth could that be orange? That might be a sensible question to ask. I don't think that can be orange. Because if this is orange, you can see blue now is totally penned into this part of the grid. So it's going to complete somehow. Let's just say it completes like that. Doesn't matter. The point there is I'm left with 4 white cells, and I can make a maximum of 2 of those orange, and therefore I'm going to be left with not a mod 5 number. So this cell is not orange. I'm not saying it's green necessarily, but it's not orange. So I can do that now. Which might matter. Okay, I'm going to repeat that trick. I'm just going to do the same logic again, I think. What can that be orange? Now, if that's orange, I complete my blue, and I'm still going to get left with an odd cell, because I can't take this. We've already proved that's not orange. I can take 2 more oranges, and I get left with an extra cell. So this is also not orange. Now, can that be blue, or do I then run into no? Then I run into the same problem, just with orange. I complete orange, and I get left with an odd cell, obviously. So this cell is also, well, it's definitely divided from. Oh no, hang on. I'm not sure whether that's a valid thing, but it's not. This cell here and this cell, I'm just going to blacken them for a moment because they're not part of the blue or the orange. So blue and orange now, that's size 4, and I've got 6 cells left. So this in fact is a separate region because it's got to poke out. Because I must use these 6 cells to complete orange and blue. So somehow we've got to complete orange and blue now in a manner, and red might be green. We need to remember that. But I've got to complete orange and blue without using I can't use a V anyway, or a Z. Can't use a Z anyway. Yeah, that's really beautiful. Okay, this cell is not orange, because if that was orange, orange would have to be an L, and it would be next to a blue L, and there would be two of the same pentomino. So that's got to be blue, and therefore that's got to be blue, and therefore we've either got a P. Oh no, this is so cool. That can't be a P, because then this would be a P as well, and we'd have two Ps. So we actually have an F here, which is lovely. Let's put F in, and an N is the other one. This is an N pentomino. It bears a very passing resemblance to an N. Let's colour in all of those. Now didn't I say F was a possibility up there at some stage? I'm sure I did. Yes, I did, because this blue thing here, I thought that could be an F, and now it's not. So what is it? It's got to be an X, doesn't it? So that's got to be an X next to a U. And there we go, two more pentominoes done. So now I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've done 6 pentominoes out of 12. Okay, but I have got rid of the naughty X, which is often the hardest pentomino to place in a pentominoes puzzle. Now, what? Okay. So what do we do next? I wonder if we can prove that red and green are the same. If red and green are different, we have to do that with red. We can't make an F. We can't come down here because there's a black moon, a big black moon. So we'd have to take that cell and this would be isolated. So that's immediately disproved. So in fact, red is equal to green in this instance. In fact, I'm going to make it green in order to not have red next to orange, which it always disturbs me. So now, does that mean green is just a simple, or green could be an L, I suppose. These two are definitely in the same region, but I don't know whether that's a P pentomino like that. Ooh, I don't like the look of that being a P, because I don't see how I'm going to deal with this cell then. The only way I can see of dealing with it is with a V, and I've already had a V up there. Let me just think about that. So if that's a P, how do we deal with this cell? This cell now needs to be joining this one, but it can't join whatever shape comes out of here, because that will be a V. So there's another shape coming out of here now, which must in fact be an I, and that's broken the puzzle. Because now this red shape can't get out. It's going to be stymied by the black moon. So this is good, because that means this is a new region. We'll make it purple. Therefore, green has to be an L. Look, there we go. So that's another pentomino, our 7th pentomino done. We've not had to do any Sudoku yet, which is marvellous. That square's now got to be purple, because we've got the purple needs to reach a size of 5 to be quorate. That's isolated this cell, which is purple, so now purple is a P. It's either got this one or this one for its troubles. And whichever one it gets, this cell, oh, these two cells are the same, obviously. Does that mean that's got to be red? Maybe. Oh, that can't be red though, can it? Because if that's red, then the only way of joining red without creating an illegal pentomino is with a W, and then both of those would have to be purple. Yeah, because red needs to get one of these. This is sort of a red-purple. This has got red-purple optionality. You probably didn't study that when you were doing your Black-Scholes models in economics, but that is the nature of these cells. So that means this is some new colour. So this is not red. This is not red. That's the key point. So this is going to be blue, which means this is blue. So can that be blue and make a W? You're going to have to get a W. We've not got a W yet, so that looks quite interesting. But the count is wrong. The count is wrong for this to be W, because then I get left behind with a double red and a single cell. So this is a new colour. That's a new colour there. And I still haven't got my W. Ah! That's a... This is a problem. Well, a W has to occupy a sort of 3 by 3 with a corner missed off, doesn't it? So does that mean this has to be the W? I think this 3 by 3, or what would be a 3 by, that 3 by 3 has to contain the W because there's nowhere else to put it. Oh, unless I put it here. No, that leaves the wrong count of cells. That would be the only way of making this yellow into a W. So that's not going to work. So if we have to put the W, and I think we do, into those cells, yes, we could do it in a silly way like that and isolate 2 whites. But if we're going to do it in a way that doesn't isolate, we have to do it like that. So I think that is now forced to be the W. And that means now that the amount of white space here is interesting. 4 cells. So we can't pack this fully with yellow. So we must, one of these must be blue. And the blue can only get into this region by taking that one. Now, we know that blue is not an L because I found an L over here. So we can now sort of fence in blue. So we've not used, oh, it could be a T. Oh yeah, where else can I put a T? Ah, not even thought about T. Yes, this must be a T because there's nowhere else to put it. So the blue is a T. Okay, so that becomes a T, which leaves a Y for yellow, which is lovely because I haven't had a Y yet. And then the bottom of the grid needs to be, oh, don't make that, oh, I haven't put I in. That's the other, there would probably be a simpler way of doing this if I'd thought about the fact I hadn't got an I. But that must be the I, and that gives us the P. Finally, so there we go. That is the pentomino division of the moons of Saturn. And no, I will look at the Sudoku as well, don't worry. Although the Sudoku's going to be weird, isn't it? Because now what do we have to do? We have to do numbers. Okay, so now I've got to work out the size of these cages. Whoa. Right. So I'm going to guess it must be the big black moons that are the interesting ones, because the minimum size of a pentomino is 15. If you ever have a black moon, a big black moon joining 2 cages together, the minimum size on one side of that cage is 30. So we're probably looking for, so if that was a small cage, this would be a large cage, this would be a small cage, this would be a large cage. This would be one different from a large cage. Well, I immediately think that's broken. Maybe that's the point. Maybe this white moon is the point. Let me just do that again. If that's low, that's high. So what I'm thinking here is, if this is a 15 cage or something like that, this is at least a 30 cage. But the point is that it's an even number, because it must be double this. So when you get a low cage total, in order to transform it via black moonage, it becomes double this number. So this is an even number, which means this then shrinks back down, because I'm presuming we can't double again. You can't have a 5-cell cage that adds up to 60 something. That's silly. So because you can't have repeated digits. So a 5-cell cage is maximum value. In fact, it's 35, which is smaller than I thought, until I just had that thought then. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 would be the maximum. So 30. So there isn't a lot of latitude here. So in fact, the small cages have to be 15, 16 or 17. And the large cages therefore have to be 30, 32 or 34. Now, let me just continue with my thoughts about this. If this is a low cage, this is a 30, 32 or 34 cage. Now this cage has to go back small again. So this is a 15, 16 or 17 cage. In fact, it would be the same as this cage. And then this gets big again. But this is where it gets interesting. Because if this is a big cage total, it's 30, 32 or 34. But this cage total is odd, because it's connected via a white moon to an even numbered cage. But then once this is odd, it has to shrink back down to be a small cage total by this black moon. But that means this is going to have to add up to like 15.5 or something, and that's impossible. So I think this cage is high, which means this cage is low, which means this cage is adding up to a maximum of 17, which means it must have, I want to say 1, 2 and 3 in it, because if it doesn't have 3, it could be 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 4, 5, 6 adds up to 18, which is too many. So this has a 1, 2 and a 3 in it. This then goes high again, which means this is a low cage. That's got a 1, 2 or a 3 in it. And then it works, because then we're adjusting this cage here by 1. And we don't know its parity now, because there's no need to know its parity. But so this is 15, 16 or 17. And this is 15, 16 or 17. And we know that because if it goes to 18, this would be a 36 cage and it would be too high. So I suspect this is something to do with 1s, 2s and 3s, because they seem to be the digits that matter. Let's just work out, do you need to put 9s and 8s and things in the big cages? So if this is a minimum, if this is 15, this would be 30 in 5 cells. 87654 is 87654 is 30. So you don't need a 9. You don't even need a 9 in the big cages. So it's the small cages, I think, that are the key to this. The small cages are the things we need to focus on, because we at least know with the small cage it's got to have lots of low digits in it. Right, so hang on a minute. Have I got problems here? So these are not 15. These cages are not adding up to... If this is a 15 cage, this is a 30 cage, and this is a 15 cage, and these cells here have to all be selected from 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and there are 6 of them, so you're going to have a repeated digit. So this cage is at least a 16 cage, so it's a 16 or a 17 cage. And that means this cage is a 16 or a 17 cage. But it's the same. Oh, this is really clever. This is really clever. Yeah, I love this. I love this logic. I'm just going to do that again. I'm going to say, is this a 16 cage? If it's a 16 cage in 5 cells, it must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. But then, because of the black dottage, this would be, if this is 16, this would be 32. This bounces down to 16 again, but it has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And these 5, 6 cells would have to be filled with just 5 different numbers. So this is a 17 cage, and this is a 17 cage. Oh, this is really clever. Oh, yeah. Because now, what's this cage? If this is a 17 cage, that cannot be an 18 cage, so it must be a 16 cage, which means I know what its contents are. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. And that means those are not 6 because of, oh no, hang on, this is black dot, not consecutive. So this, I don't know what these are. In fact, these could be anything. Every single number there is capable of being on a black dot. Okay, but that still feels like a big breakthrough. So I now know the approximate, well, I know the composition of the F pentomino. I just don't know exactly how the digits are disposed within it. Right. I know this is a 17 cage. I know this is a 17 cage. I know, I know that's a 34 cage. There's only one way of making 34 in 5 cells. That's 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this white dot does not have a 4 on it because 4 cannot be consecutive with 6, 7, 8 or 9. So this is 16, so this is 32. So this is 32, so that one does have a 9 in it because we worked out the only number you could have that in a big cage that didn't have a 9 was a 30 if it was 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So this probably has to have an 8 as well. If it doesn't have 8, it would be 9, 7, 6, 5, 4, which only adds up to 31, but we know this is a 32 cage, so this has an 8 in it. So this is a 32 cage. So by the secret of course is that any box of a Sudoku, indeed any complete row, any complete column, contains all the digits 1 to 9 once each, so adds to 45. So if these cells add up to 32, this 2 by 2 here sums up to 13. But we know this adds up to 17. So if these say those 3 cells added up to 6. Now hang on, what's this? 17, isn't it? So yes, if these added up to 6, these would add up to 11. And this would add up to 7. So this domino adds up to 4 more than this cell. That doesn't actually seem to restrict anything. Okay, that's a silly thought. Simon, do not have silly thoughts. They don't help you to solve the puzzles. Wow, where on earth do we look now? Do we pencil mark these? 5s, 7s, 8s and 9s. I don't think that was the idea. Is this cell restricted? Do we know the problem with 17 cage? Well, in fact, it was the saviour of the 17 cage. A 17 cage can be 2 different things. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, or it can be 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So, do we somehow know, therefore, is there some way we can deduce which version, you know, the X pentomino versus the Z pentomino, what they have to be? We know these cells individually are 1, 2s, 3s and 5s. I don't think that looks terribly helpful, does it? Wow, okay. Gosh, I'm starting to struggle here. I'm sure that there's something intelligent I can do, but I don't know what it is. We know... Oh, hang on, we know... What's this one? This was 17, wasn't it? 17, 34. So this is a 34 cage. So that's got to be 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ooh, nearly, look. That's nearly huge. So if this one was 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, this would have to have 4 and 7 in it. This would not have 4 or 7 in it. Okay, I'm not quite seeing how to progress this at the moment. I'm sure there's a way, we just have to work out what it is. So this is a 32 cage. I'm almost tempted. I know this is absolutely sacrilegious, but I am almost tempted to pencil mark these cages just to see if there's some sort of elimination I'm not spotting. Because I'm so close to sort of weird quintuples and stuff. This Y pentomino is not attached by Moon to anything, which is a bit annoying. So what could it be? Is it something to do? This is a 17, this is a 16. If hang on, let's check. No, this one is not mooned either, look. Well, it's mooned to that one, but we don't know anything about that one. Okay. So, I really don't want to do this. I've got a bad feeling about doing this. I wonder if there's some way I can work out whether... Yeah, maybe that's a thought. Okay, let's look at this Z pentomino. If this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, let's just put that in for a second or two. If this is true, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, you can see that the 4 and the 7, just let me check why my phone's buzzing at me. That's okay. The 4 and the 7 are in this box, which means that this pentomino, which we know adds to 32, can no longer avail itself of 7. So its maximum value now would be 9, 8, 6, 5, and then it can't use 4 because the 4's in here. So it could use 9, 8, 6, 5, 3, 9, 8. Oh, please let that be 31. I got 31 when I just did that in my head. 9, 8 is 31. Right, that's huge. That's huge. Okay, so this is not 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. So at least now we know the composition of this. This is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. And, quite interestingly, look, the 6 is in here. So that's going to put pressure. Does that mean we've got to have 7 in here? We almost certainly, yeah, we must have to have 7 in here. So this is 32. If there's no 7 or 6 in it, its maximum value would be 9 plus 8 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3, which is 12, 29. That's no good. Right, so there is a 7 in here now. So there's now 24 in here. And we need 2 more cells to add to that to get us up to 32. So we need 8 more, but we can't use 7. We've already used 7, and we can't use 6. So this must be 3, 5, mustn't it? So this is 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, adding up to 32. Now that knocks 3 and 5 out of these cells. So this has now become a 1, 2, 6 triple, which means this is now a 3, 5 pair. Which means that this is not 3, 5, this is not 3, 5, and this box needs a 4 in it, which goes there. And that's our first digit. It only taken me 40 minutes to get it, but I have got it. So that knocks 4 out of here by the power of Sudoku. 4 out of here. Ah, look, I've now got a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple, which means that square is 3 or 5, which means this square is 3 or 5. Oh no, I thought that was going to give me the nature of this one, but I'm not sure it does. Oh, I've got a 1, 2, 6 triple here. Oh, so that's not 6. I want to, so don't we know as well that this has to be different from this? Because if this was the same nature, if this was the same 17 cage that this is, we just run into the same problem, which is that these 6 digits are selected from 5 different numbers. So we know that this one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, which means that's a 3. Which means we know these are 1, 2, 4, and 7. And we know we've got a 1, 2, 6 triple here. So this is a 4, 7 pair. This is a 1, 2 at the top. 4 must be consecutive with the 3, so that gets us another couple of digits. This 7 sees all sorts of things in this W pentomino. It knocks 7 out of here, 7 out of here. So now what have we got? Now we're looking for 3s, 5s, 8s and 9s in this row. So this square is 5, 8 or 9, which is almost really interesting. This can't have 3 on it because it's consecutive, so that's not got 3 on it, or 5. So this has 8 on it because it's got to have an even number on it. So these are not allowed to be 8 anymore. These are not allowed to be 8 anymore. That can't be 6 because it can't be consecutive with 8 or 9. So the even digit on this white dot is now there, which is interesting. So that becomes 5, 9 now. Oh, look at that. So I've got a 3, 5, 9 triple in row 2. 4 in this box has to go there, in that cage. And okay, now I'm stuck. I am stuck, but at least I do feel like we made some progress there, which I'm relieved about. 4 has been locked into one position of the W pentomino. It's got to go there. So now 7 is definitely in this domino. 4 lops itself out of these cells by Sudoku. So 4 is now in this domino, in the F pentomino. Seven, 8, 9 here. So 3, right, yes, okay, so where do 3 and 5 go in this box? They have to go in these cells, which means this is not able to be 3, and these are not able to be 5, so these have come down to 7, 8, 9. 5 is in one of those 2 cells, which means 5 is in one of these 3 cells. This is 1, 2 or 6, so this, what does that do? This can't be 6 anymore, because it would need a 3 here. So this is 1, 2 or 3, connected by white big moon, which is not useful. Oh look, oh, if I could get rid of 3 here though, I'd have a 1, 2, 6 triple in that column. So, don't think I can do that though. There's a virtual 7, 8, 9 triple between those 5 cells, and that's because you can't put 7 and 9 on this domino. So one of them gravitates towards these 3 cells and it joins its friend down there to make a 7, 8, 9. So these cells at the bottom are from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Mark would pencil mark that. No, I'm not going to do it. I do sort of want to, but I'm not going to. Okay. So, oh, I tell you, I will do that actually. Not because of the mark thing, but because because there's a 3, 5 there as well. And that, so actually these are much more restricted. So these can't be 1, 2, well they can't be 3, 5, 4, 6. They can't be 7, 8, 9. So 1, 2, 4 and 6 at the bottom of the column, which is a bit more restricted. Oh, so now do we know that this has got to be high? Yes. Yes, here we go. Here we go. Yes, this is interesting. Because this has now got 7, 8 in it up here as a minimum, that's 15. The minimum those 3 cells could be would be a 1, 2, 3 triple for 21. So this is a high cage. It's an above 30 cage. It gets adjusted very slightly here to be another number that's close to 30, and then it gets halved to arrive at the total for this. So this is a this is a 15, 16, 17 cage, and it's got 1, 2 and 3 in it, therefore. The 3 can't go there, look, because of the 3, 5 at the top. And this can't have a 1 on it, because then this cell would be broken. So there's definitely 1 and 3 in these cells. If this has a 2 on it, it has to go with 4. And that would tell us, no, it wouldn't tell us what this cage was, because we don't know its sum. So it's 15, 16 or 17. Therefore this cage is 30, 32 or 34. If it's 34, that would have to be a 4, 7, and that would have to be 6, 8, 9, which it couldn't be, because that would break this cell. So this cage is not a 34 cage, so it's either a 32 cage or a 30 cage. So this cage is either a 15 or a 16 cage, so it's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So it has a 4 in it now, which is not there. So it looks like this is going to be the 2, 4 pair, doesn't it? In fact, can I actually deduce that? I think I can, because I know that the 1 and the 3 in this cage, and then there must be a 1 and a 3 in it, are in 2 of these 3 cells. I know there's a 2 and a 4 in it, so either the 2 is on here with a 4, or the 2 has to shuffle away in here, which puts a 4 on the black dot, where it cannot accompany a 2 and would have to accompany an 8. But that's impossible, because if you put an 8 in this cage, its minimum sum is 18, and that means that would have to sum to 36. So this is a 2, 4 pair, which is a little bit interesting, especially as it gives me that digit, which does nothing, apparently. It gives me that digit and that digit, which so that gets me this as a 2 by Sudoku, and a 1, 6 pair in this row, and the 2 rails its way down the blue F pentomino and knocks this out to being 1 or 3. So if this is 1, this is 2. If this is 3, this is 6. So this is never 1 anymore. The big black moon is not telling me the relationship to this cell, so I can't really use that. There's now a 1 and a 4 down here. Okay. Gosh, this is quite tricky, isn't it? It's definitely not dead easy. Oh, I've got a 7, 8, 9 triple in that row. Sorry, I hadn't seen that. So that square is a 3 or a 5, which means that square is a 9, apparently. Which means this is a 7, 8 pair on the white dot, which means this is a 9, which means this is a 6, 7 pair, which means this is an 8, 9 pair, which means this is a 6, 7 pair. That's lovely. That gives me a 5 here, which makes this square a 3, this square a 5, this square a 3, this square a 5. Come on. So those two squares are 2 and 6. And surely that's going to do something for us. Is it though? These cells at the bottom of this column are 2, 5, 8 and 9. Which I don't love the look of. These squares are 6, 7s, 8s and 9s just by the power of Sudoku in this column. And I hadn't spotted that, but I should have done. That is a 1, 3, 4, 6 quadruple. So once we add the 2 to that, we can say the digits we need in the column are 5s, 7s, 8s and 9s into these cells. So all of a sudden, I've got a 5, 7, 8... Oh, have I broken this? No, that's fine. I've got a 5, 7, 8, 9 quadruple in the orange N pentomino. Now, that 5, 7, 8 and 9 add up to 29, but I've got to add this digit to it as well. So if I made this a 6, then this would add up to 35, which is almost too much. So this would have to be a 34 cage. And this would have to be a 17 cage. We know this is not a 17 cage, don't we? Or do we not know that? I can't remember. Yeah, no, we do know this isn't a 17 cage because this couldn't be a 34 cage. So this has got, yes, this has got, these digits are either 136 or 135. So, okay, so this, if this was 15, this would be 30, this would have to be 31, and this would be a 2. If this is 16, this is 32, so this is 31 or 33, so this is 2 or 4 always. That's interesting. Which gives me a weird 2-4 pair there, which means that's not a 2. It means there's definitely a 1 at the bottom of the grid down there. But I'm rather afraid to say that I'm not sure how much better I'm going to do than that. Perhaps I've got to work on the L pentomino. In this box, I've not put 3 into this box, so that's a 3 in one of those cells. So that's not a 3. Are there any other digits? No. Okay, so this box has a 3 in it. And what are we heading up towards? I'm not sure, am I? It's either 30 or 32. So if you are, okay, so if this was adding up to a 32 cage, then I think that's impossible. Because if this is a 32 cage, it's got a 3 in it, which means the other 4 cells are adding to 29, so it would have to be 5s, 7s, 8s and 9s. Now that means that 3 of these digits would be from 5, 7, 8 and 9, and that combining it with the rest of this column, I'd have 5 digits that have to be from 5, 7, 8 and 9. That won't work. So this adds up to 30, which means this adds up to 15 and doesn't have a 6 in it. So that's quite nice. I'm not sure if it does anything, but it feels like a bit of a breakthrough. So this adds up to 30, which means this adds up to 31, doesn't it? Because it can't add up to 29, because these are already 29. So this is a 2, that's a 6, that's a 3 by black dottage. We can take 3 and 6 out of here. I get a 1-4 pair, which means this is a 2. Which means this is a 6, this is a 1. That 6 is giving me a 6 and a 7 over here. I'm having to keep very, very a much closer track on Sudoku than I'm used to or good at. Okay, well that's something. That's given us a bit more. So this is not 2 and 6 down here. This is a 1-4 pair, which I'm not sure. I'm a bit worried I can't even make this work, actually, this stuff at the bottom of this column. I know this cage adds up to 30. I know it's got a 3 in it. I now know, look, oh, okay, I now know it's got a 6 in it as well. because I've not put 6 into any of those. So there's a 6 in one of these, so that's not a 6. Yeah, oh no, okay. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9 actually by Sudoku. That's not 8 or 9. So there's a 6, 7 pair in this column now. There's so many little interactions going on. So this has got, it's got 3 and 6 in it, adding to 9. So the other 3 cells are adding up to 21. Is that somehow useful? 7, 8 here, so there's 5 and 9 into these 3 cells. So if there's a 5 in here, it has to be in exactly this position. And that would mean we'd have 14 and the other 2 digits would be a 7, 9 pair. Which would mean this would have to be a 9. I don't see why that's necessarily impossible. That can't be a 2. It seems to have to connect to this cell. So 2 is left in one of 2 places there. That can't be a 6 by Sudoku. So the 6 in this column is now exactly there, which is weird, but I'll take it. And we're slowly discovering what are the names of the moons of Saturn. I should know how many moons there are. I think Titan is a moon of Saturn. Although now I'm wondering if that's a moon of Jupiter. Ooh, I'm not sure. I thought Titan was a moon of Saturn. But anyway, that's by the by. What are we going to do next? We shall argue about the nature of 5 in this cage is in these 2 cells, so that's not a 5. So it's really, yes, okay, that's great. I've got a 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple in the bottom row, so that's got to be 5, and that's connected by white dot to that, which has got to be 6 and 7. That all gets fixed. Oh goodness me, that's really quite cool. Get rid of some stuff here. So this becomes 8 or 9. Oh, be careful though, this is not a region, is it? It's a much bigger than 9 cell region, so I can't sort of start pairing up these things. This has become a 7, so that means that's not 7 and that's not 7. Okay, don't know if I can do stuff with that. I can take 5 out of these cells and this one. So I've got an 8, 9 pair in this row, so that's not 8 or 9. This is a 15 cage, so this is a 30 cage. Doesn't have to have a 9 in it, we learnt that earlier. It probably has to have a 4 or a 7 in it, so I bet that has to be a 4 or a 7. This black dot can't have a 4 on it, so it's either 1, 2, 3, 6. Oh, that's quite interesting. Maybe this black dot is important, actually. It can't have a 4 on it. So its options are 1, 2, and I simply don't believe it can be 1, 2 from the point of view of making this cage add up to 30. So it's not 1, 2. It's not 2, 4. It's not 4, 8. So it is 3, 6. That's huge. That's going to be it. Because that, well, that does that. That does that. This can't be a 2 now, can it? Because these 3 cells would then add up to 11, and we'd have to have the other 2 cells adding up to 19. That doesn't work. So this is the 2. We've now got these 3 digits adding up to 21 without using 6. So they're not 6, 7, 8. So they do have a 9 in them. So it's either 9, 4, 8, which would have to have a 4 here. And this would have to be an 8, 9 pair. Or it's 957, and this would be a 7, so that is our 957. So then I have to put 5 in here, so this would have to be 5. 5, 7, 9. Okay, so from that, what have we learnt? Well, okay, well this box has become a little bit more constrained in the sense that we know those 5 digits now. So we need 1s, 2s, 4s and 7s into these cells. And we can get rid of 7s from the bottom cell. So we've now got a 1, 2, 4 triple in the bottom row. So where does the 3 go in the bottom row? It's got to go here. Which is, well, don't get me wrong, I'm pleased to have spotted it. The 2 in the bottom row has to go here now. Which means this is not 2. Oh, this can't be 1 because it's got to be on a white dot. If it's 1, you have to put 2 above it. So this is a 4, 7 pair. That becomes a 1. That's a 4. That's a 1. Now this digit, if this is 4, this has to be 3, or 5. It has to be 3 because it can't be 5. If this is 7, this has to be 6, can't be, or 8. So this is 3 or 8, and that seems okay. This square is 5, 8 or 9. This pentomino is weird. It's not connected by, it could literally add up to anything. So it's a spurious one. Right, so 9 here. Sorry, I hadn't seen that before. Has that been there? That's been there for ages. Gosh, that probably would have made this puzzle a lot easier, because now look, I've got a 7, 8 puzzle. 7, 8 here, so that's got to be 5. That's got to be 9, which means that's 8, that's 9. That's not 9 or 7, 8. That's become 5, and now I should be able to do maths on this. So I've got 17 and 6, which is 23. I'm heading up towards 30. I need a 7, and that's not breaking the puzzle. So that's 6, 7, which means that's 8, that's 7. This square here is now 9. That's 8 by Sudoku. Come on, come on, come on. This is 7 by Sudoku. That's 7, that's 8 by Sudoku. I'm actually hopeful now. I think it was missing this 9 that was making this bottom part really tricky. So, he says, how do we finish this off with some sort of alacrity? We don't want the effluxion of time to get too dramatic, do we? 1s, 2s and 5s. So this is a 1. That's a naked single. This is a 2. This is a 5. That's not 5 anymore. By Sudoku, this is 3, 8 or 9. And it's not 8. So it's 3 or 9. So this doesn't seem to get resolved. I don't believe it. Okay. So these are 1s, 3s, 8s and 9s. That's not 8. Oh no, you rotten thing. What about this column then? 1s, 3s, 4s and 5s. So that's not 5. Wow. Okay. So I have missed something else. It wasn't just this 9. There's some other conundrum here that we've got to figure out. What is that? I don't know. 5. I can place 5 in box 8, which means that's not a 5. So surely 5 is now in one place only, in box 4. Which gives me an 8, 9, useless 8, 9 pair. Okay, so 5s are, I think, done. 7s, mostly done. We've got to put a 7 over here. Golly. There is no restriction on the size of this Y pentomino, I don't think. It's not connected by moon. So that wouldn't seem to be the way to solve this. Okay. So what is it then? There must be another triple or something somewhere that I'm not spotting. Oh, I hope this isn't going to be vicious at the end. That's going to be very mean if so. Where does one go? Yes, okay, I can place. Oh, this one. Yeah, okay, no, it was me being daft. That is a much more preferable answer. I'm very happy with that answer because that should mean I can finish the puzzle without having to resort to Y wings and the like, or trying to spot naughty X wings. So that's given me a lot more impetus. That's now an 8, that's a 9, that's an 8. Remove 8 from here. Remove 3s from here, so we get a 1-9 pair. And then this cage is going to do the final disambiguation. We know that this has to add up to 30, don't we? And at the moment we're on 21, so we need a 9. And therefore, if that's a 9, that's a 9, that's a 1. 1, 4, 4, 3. 8 comes in here. 8, 9, and 3 there. What a lovely puzzle. That deserves all the plaudits it's been getting. It really does. Let's click tick. Yay. That's another long video, mind you. 1 hour, 6 minutes, but I hope you'll forgive me. There was quite a lot of logic. I mean, firstly you have to do all the pentominoes, and then you have to do all of the calculation and all of the Sudoku, and none of that was straightforward. But what we can say is that Chris Moore has designed a beautiful puzzle with a magnificent thumbnail, and for that we can be very grateful. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.